How's it going, everybody? Thank you very much for watching. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr. Welcome to another classic horror movie review. It is getting towards the end of October, so talking about other types of horror movies now because we're getting closer to that big night of Halloween, October 2022. So we've done a couple of supernatural horror films from the 70s, talked about a zombie movie from the 60s, a couple of great slasher movies, and now I'm getting into the vampire genre of horror. And my favorite vampire movie of all time is from 1987. It is The Lost Boys. This is the story about some young brothers that moved to Santa Carla with their mom. Their mom is played by Diane Wiest in the movie. Love Diane Wiest in Ron Howard's Parenthood. And she's also great in Mike Nichols' The Birdcage from '96. So this movie begins and we meet this family that consists of a mother played by Diane Wiest and her two sons played by Jason Patric in the role of Michael, the older teen, and then you got Corey Haim playing the younger brother. And I really like Corey Haim in movies like Lucas. It's a real classic from back in the day. He's great in the movie that I used to always watch with my cousin back in the day, Fast Getaway and Fast Getaway 2. A couple of B movie classics as far as I'm concerned. When they go to town to find something to do, Sam ends up at the comic book shop. He's got an interest in comic books, and that's where he meets the Frog Brothers and Corey Feldman's character, Edgar Frog, and his brother. And while he's meeting the Frog Brothers, establishing their new friendship, Michael is at this concert. There's this dude, no shirt on, blasting on this saxophone, singing this song called I Still Believe, really catchy tune. And this guy's rocking the shit out of that saxophone, by the way. And that's where Michael sees somebody who catches his eye, and her name happens to be Star. She's played by Jamie Gertz. I think Jamie Gertz is terrific in a film that came out around this time called Less Than Zero. Really awesome movie, actually, that stars Robert Downey Jr. Um, and so he, starts to sort of fall for this girl, and he invites her to ride with him on his bike, but they're interrupted by a group of dudes that are on motorcycles, and they all look pretty intense looking. They definitely look like they're some kind of punk rocker dudes, and one of them is a young Kiefer Sutherland, and he is the leader of the group and invites Michael to come on a joyride with them. And so they go on this sort of a bike chase. Michael's pretty much chasing these guys, trying to keep up with them. Their motorcycles are a lot faster than his and a little more souped up than his. He has like this simple like dirt bike and almost sent him off a cliff, Rebel Without a Cause style. The role that Kiefer Sutherland plays in this movie, which is the role of David, happens to be one of my favorite 80s horror movie villains because he's very creepy, he's very sort of manipulative, he's very cool, and Kiefer Sutherland is so good at playing bad and makes you really hate him in anything wherever he plays a bad guy, especially in this film, especially in something like Eye for an Eye. But he's always awesome, whether it's something like A Time to Kill, where he's a real douchebag in that. He's a douchebag in a movie like A Few Good Men. But yeah, right here, oh, we can't forget Stand By Me, plays a real prick in that one. But yeah, he's just so damn good at playing the bad guy. And I think The Lost Boys is one of the perfect examples of his skill in portraying such a evil guy. Long before this movie came out, there were all kinds of vampire movies. And of course, the original Dracula movies from the black and white days were redone in the 50s and sort of given this color upgrade. And then we got movies in the 70s that started to change up the formula, with the blaxploitation movies. We got something like Blackula, and we get into the 80s where we get more stuff where they try to play with vampire lore, stuff like the 1985 Tom Holland film Fright Night. Not Tom Holland the actor, but the horror director. Um, and The Lost Boys is definitely a movie that helped to contribute to changing up what was the usual generic vampire lore that so many people were familiar with. And this definitely brought a fresh new take on vampires that to this day still feels very unique because it hasn't quite been done like this since. And they've taken it back old school with, like your vampires from the 1700s and 1600s with movies like Interview with a Vampire, where yet again they sort of changed it up and we got a different kind of vampire with that. And then you get to the 2000s where they changed it up again with something like 30 Days of Night. These fast vampires were almost like they're like the equivalent of the fast zombies in 28 Days Later. And it's really cool how every 10, 15 years you get a movie that sort of helps to add something new to the mythology of vampire movies. And, every so often you get something that really stands out. And to me, The Lost Boys still stands out. It has a great soundtrack. The cast in this movie is terrific. This movie has a great horror vibe to it, but it doesn't forget to also have fun. And so there are moments where you actually feel like this is a great movie to introduce younger people to as a nice gateway to horror films. And if they're not into anything that it's even remotely gory, then this should not be shown to anyone that's too young, because this is not PG-13 horror. This is a rated R vampire horror movie. The gore in this movie does get pretty damn awesome, and it's really awesome practical effects as well. Got to talk about the practical effects. They're pretty kick-ass and still hold up. Pretty damn good kills and very charismatic leads. Really awesome villain and a really nice, clever twist and a really awesome vampire movie. So if you're into vampire movies and if you like movies that take the vampire mythology but have a spin on it, then you should definitely check out The Lost Boys. It's definitely one of the better vampire movies out there. This is definitely a movie that can be found on streaming. I have seen it on HBO Max in the past, but go ahead and look for those hard copies because it's always cool to have one. This happens to be mine. There you got Jason Patrick on the very front there. There's Kiefer Sutherland in the middle. There's Jamie Gertz. And you got some of these bad guys there, the evil vampires, Corey Haim. Yeah, definitely a classic from the 1980s. Always a must watch, especially in this time of the year, spooky season of October. So thank you very much for checking this out. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and share all that stuff. If you're new to the channel, please, hit that bell and look out for notifications. If you're into this kind of thing, I'm always talking about movies. Love talking about movies. And if it's your thing, then hang out and look out for the next one because more of these coming your way. So thank you very much. And please look out for each other. Take care. Bye-bye.